So last time we have sort of completed the book of love, book 5 of Savitri, with three cantos. The first canto, the destined meeting place; second canto, Satyavan; and the third canto, Satyavan and Savitri. I will give briefly some of the statistics of these three cantos, and then we'll kind of quickly run through the descriptions which are presented in these cantos. Now, the destined meeting place is from sentence number 101.1 to 101.22, which means that there are 22 sentences in this canto, the destined meeting place. 22 sentences and 86 lines in all. In the next canto, Satyavan, it is again, there is only one section again there, 102.1 to 102.63, which means again there are 63 sentences in all, and the total number of lines is 265. In the third canto, Satyavan and Savitri, we have three sections. The first section, 103, it is from 103.1 to 103.76, or 76 sentences, with a total number of 444 lines. In section 2, 104.1 to 104.21, we have 21 sentences, and the third section, 105.1 to 105.10, there are 10 sentences. In other words, the total number of sentences in this third canto is 107. The total number of lines is canto 3, 444 lines. Total number of lines in the canto 3, 444 lines. So the total number of sentences in the book of love is 192, and total number of lines 795. Total number of lines 795. In the revised edition, which came out in 1993, there is an additional line. So according to it, there will be 796 lines in the revised edition. But we are going essentially by the first edition, you see, 795 lines, you see. Now, again, you see from these broad statistics that generally the pattern of composition is such that 25% of the sentences are stanzas, 4-line sentences. Means practically every fourth sentence is a stanza. And in one of the earlier comments in a letter, Savitri said that it had been kind of voluntary, it had been kind of happening naturally that the pattern was repeating in terms of stanzas, 4-line sentences, and he had to make a very special effort to remove that monotony of 4-line, 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 you see. But still, you can see the predominance of 4-line sentences in Savitri throughout, you see. That is the poetic aspect of the technique, you see. And that 75% are non-stanzas is a very meritorious thing, you see, very beautiful thing, you see. Otherwise, the whole thing would have become very monotonous, dull. It would not have been an epic. It would have been a lyrical composition, you see. So these are the statistics. We will now quickly see some of the highlights of the book of law to kind of recapitulate how the whole book developed. And as I said earlier, that this book was essentially written by Shavendra during 45, 46, 1945, 1946, about that time, maybe in 6 months or so. See. And now we'll go to the text quickly, picking up some key elements of the book to get a general idea how the whole thing was developed. And as I said, that the book was essentially composed in 1945-46, about the times. There was a very small, very brief draft earlier, but then the final thing came out at this time. In other words, we see that in this book there is a full final inspiration of Savitri present in it. Earlier he was trying, doing this, redrafting, drafting until that, you see. In fact, part one, first half of Savitri, he wrote himself number of times in his own hand till 1944. He kept on repeating. As a matter of fact, the very first canto, December Dawn, he wrote something like 25 times to get the inspiration which he wanted to come in Savitri. Once that got sort of stabilized, he got the hang of it, then it started flowing. So it is that aspect of the flow which is what you see in the Book of Law. The spontaneity and the ease with which the poetry moves, and of course the sweetness pertaining to the Book of Law. You see. It's a very sweet book, as I was telling you here, you see. And the sweetness, although it is a book of love, not in the romantic sense, not in the Kalidasian sense, not at all in the erotic sense, but there is the psycho-spiritual inspiration behind the whole thing. The sweetness is psycho-spiritual in it, essentially. And the psycho-spiritual, the kind of noblest achievement which is possible in a language. This is what you see in the Book of Law. Now, the book begins, the destined meeting place, and the opening lines are, but now the destined spot and hour were close, 101.1. Now the destined spot and hour were close. Unknowing she had near her nameless goal. This is a very crucial statement. It is not only in the nature of a beautiful narrative, but it has in it enormous amount of occult content. This particular opening sentence itself is loaded with occult implications. But now the destined spot and hour were close. And of course, the book itself begins with but now. But now. In other words, there is a connection with the previous description, in the sense that Savitri was going from place to place almost for a year in search of a life partner. And she did not find anyone at all. She went to different places, to temples, to palaces, to kingdoms, to villages, everywhere. No, 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 no. She has been traveling, traveling, traveling. But now the moment has come when she is going to find her life's partner, the destined spot and the destined hour. Now, destined spot is not only in terms of their coming together and meeting, that as if it has been destined somewhere else up, and it is going to precipitate here on the ground. It is going to occur here on the earth. That is the destined spot and the destined hour. Everything is calculated in space and time, a thing to happen. This event must take place in space at this point, at this place, and this event here now. You see, everything is fixed. In other words, the destined meeting place and destined meeting time are kind of predestined, predestined elsewhere in the transcendent. They must meet. If Savitri is the divine Shakti herself incarnate in a human form, she has a mission to carry. She has a work to do. She must accomplish in her life what has been assigned to her as a task. And therefore, everything should move in that direction. She has now matured up, she has grown up into a full maidenhood, and from now onward, her active part of life should begin. So, it has already been destined, fixed, elsewhere up. It has now going to happen here in the human conditions. And the narrative is therefore simultaneously moving on both the planes, on the human as well as the transcendent. Simultaneously it is moving, and you have to see the meaning both ways. That although as if we are moving in the human manner, but the things are also happening elsewhere up in the transcendent, in the higher realms, somewhere there, see. But now the destined spot and hour were close. Unknowing, she had neared her nameless goal. Now, that's the beauty. The word unknowing is a very beautiful word, very purposefully, intentionally introduced there, in the sense that Savitri has taken the human birth. At the same time, Savitri, as the divine incarnate, has a work to do to fulfill destiny, has to be worked out. But Savitri, because she has taken the human birth, is not able to see what is written in front of her at every moment and at every time. There is a veil of humanity which is there in front of her, which will not show immediately what is going to happen. But from behind, the divine Savitri knows, yes, this has to happen, this has to happen, this has to happen. And the divine Savitri is making things move knowingly. Human Savitri is moving from place to place unknowingly. And it is that meeting which is important. Therefore, it says, unknowing, she had neared the nameless goal. Savitri has no idea at the moment what is she going to do, whether it is here that the goal will be found, the destiny will be found, destiny will be worked out. She has no idea at all about that thing. And that space which is there, where they are going to meet Satyavala and Savitri, is fixed. Nothing happens in the cosmic play. I am reading the next sentence too, last two lines of that. Nothing happens in the cosmic play but at its time and in its foreseen place. At its time and in its, both of them are fixed. Where? By whom? By the cosmic designer. The destiny which is being molded by the cosmic fate. It is that cosmic element. In other words, see, as we have been saying all along, there are three layers of operation. One is the individual, one is the cosmic, and the other one is the transcendent. In the transcendent, meeting of Satyavala and Savitri is already fixed. It has now to be worked out in the dimensions of cosmic operation. Fate, space, time, they had to come together and work out certain details on the cosmic plane. But That fulfillment of cosmic operation is possible only when the individual participates in it. Individual has to be open to that. Otherwise, fate remains unfulfilled, unworked out. All the three are necessary. They have to go together. And that is exactly what is happening in the case of Satyavan and Savitri. Yes, Satyavan and Savitri must meet, fixed up there. Now the whole cosmic operation has to unroll and work out the details. And in that working out the details, the individual participation, Satyavan must come from one side, Savitri must come one side, they must meet, and all those things had to happen. That is the cosmic play. Now, this place is a very beautiful place where they are going to meet 104.4. It is a place that lived under the eyes of eternity. The destined meeting place is supervised from above by eternity itself. Yes, this has to happen here. Under the eyes of eternity, all these things had to happen here in the cosmic play. Right. And therefore, naturally, when Savitri is going from place to place and coming to this point, the expectation beats its wings, wings of expectation beat and arrive at this place, you see. The chariot moves with that expectation. Yes, this is the place where I will meet my future partner. That expectation is already indicated there, you see. And then we have whole place is, of course, a very beautiful place. We have seen the description. But for all that thing to happen, the cosmic play to work out itself, what is important, what is necessary is that there has to be the depth of luminous peace. If such an activity has to happen, there has to be the depth of luminous peace. It is in peace alone, Shanti. It is that which is the substratum for anything to happen and to work out. Therefore, this place is a place of peace. He says that, no? Yeah, 101.13. Primeval peace was there, and in its bosom held undisturbed the strife of bird and beast. Unless that peace is there, nothing will work out. And if such a significant event has to occur, it has to be in the bosom of peace. Otherwise, it has no value, you see. And then, of course, these are the mystic codes and doors of ecstasy and golden house. See, where what is going to happen? 101.21. Here were disclosed to her, to Savitri, here were disclosed to her the mystic codes, the lurking doors of beauty and surprise. Surprise, of course, suddenly she is going to meet somebody here. The wings that murmur in the golden house. This is a golden house. The destined meeting place is a golden house. The temple of sweetness and the fiery isle. Both, there is the sweetness in it, there is the fieriness also. Vibrant, intense, luminous. All those things are packed in one single place there, you see. Simultaneously, see. And then, so then, see, this is what happens. And then the most mysterious thing is he has been describing how Savitri is moving and all that. And suddenly in the last sentence, 101.22, we have a stranger on the sorrowful roads of time and immortal under the yoke of death and fate, a sacrificant of the bliss and pain of the spheres. This is what divine Satyavan has done. He has sacrificed his divinity. He has become a stranger here in the mortal world. He is moving the immortal under the yoke of death and fate. And it is that death and fate which is going to be encountered by Savitri. Love in the wilderness met Savitri. It is here that love, Satyavan, he has not named him yet, but it is love, Satyavan, who will come and meet here in this wilderness. He is a sacrificant. He is a stranger here. He is the immortal under the yoke of death and fate. Unless he accepts the yoke of death and fate, there is no possibility of redemption of this mortal world. He has to come down here and accept this yoke of death and fate. Then only things can be set right. It is not by simply sitting up there things will happen. He must come and accept that. So that is what this means. Love in the wilderness met Savitri. Actually, in the beginning itself, we have the description of three disputants born of inconscience. In the first canto, three disputants born of inconscience: earth, love, death. Earth is a disputant, love is a disputant, death is a disputant. The struggle is between these three, and it is the problem of this which has to be solved by Savitri. So this is what they meet here now. They come together and they meet here. Love, yeah.
Could you explain how love is born out of inconscience?
Yeah. In fact, all these three are born of inconscience. He says love, death, and earth. Let me see if I can quickly get that line. 2.35. All came back to her, earth and love and doom. And then he says, the ancient disputants encircled her, like giant figures wrestling in the night. The goddess, born from the dim inconscient, about to struggle, born from the dim inconscient. Now, you see, he names three: love, earth, and doom. He doesn't name Savitri, of course, in that. Because earth has been created as a specific center to carry out the divine manifestation in this creation through evolution. Through evolution. It has been created in the inconscience so that the evolution moves on from this point onward. So earth is definitely born of inconscience. Doom naturally is inconscience embodied. Doom or death is the shadow of the Supreme put in the inconscience and presenting itself to Savitri later on. He is born of inconscience. Now, love. Love, as we have seen earlier, is the divine himself who has plunged into the inconscient void. And it is that who is coming out. In fact, Mother says, who is Satyavan? He is the divine who has plunged into the void. And therefore, he is the permanent avatar. She calls Satyavan as the permanent avatar. He is therefore stationed in the void, the divine himself stationed in the void for a certain purpose. It is that which has to come out up. And it is that Satyavan who is in the grip of death. He has taken the station in the inconscience so that it is through that process evolution can move forward. In fact, that is what we got in the later by 7 to on the back side of this page. Satyavan is the soul carrying the divine truth of being within itself, but descended into the grip of death and ignorance. Descended into the grip of death and ignorance. He is born of inconscience. Satyavan is the soul carrying the divine truth of being within itself, but descended into the grip of death and ignorance. So he is the sacrificant. The divine has sacrificed himself. It is the holocaust of the Supreme. He has plunged here into the darkness and taken the station. And now the task of Savitri is to remove that grip of death and ignorance which is there around the neck of Satyavan. In fact, that is the whole issue in Savitri. And therefore he comes here, love in the wilderness naturally met Savitri. Well, then let's go to the next canto, Canto 2, Satyavan. See, again it opens very metaphysically, the canto. All she remembered on this day of fate, on this day of fate, all she remembered. Satyavan, and see, human Savitri is moving from place to place unknowingly. But now the whole atmosphere is such that she is going to remember what had happened in the earlier stages. In the earlier stages, she's going to remember that. All she remembered, a kind of a memory flashes back. The psychic memory opens out, and then she sees what had happened earlier. And in other words, Satyavan and Savitri are not meeting here for the first time. They have been meeting from time to time. Age after age, they have been coming and meeting. Now, this is a meeting which is going to prove to be decisive. That this time their meeting will bear fruit. The grip of death which is there around Satyavan, it is that grip which will loosen in this particular birth, in their particular appearance now here. And therefore the entire history kind of flashes in front of her. Yes, we have been meeting here. This is the place. This is the time we have been coming together and meeting here all along. All she remembered on this day of fate. Now this day of fate is a very powerful phrase. It's a very simple English. Day of fate. It is the day when they are going to meet. After 1 year of traveling, etc., Satyavan does not know what is going to happen next moment. As usual, he is going in the morning for his work, and suddenly the day of fate, he sees some girl there, and matter is over. You see, so day of fate is not only from the point of view of their meeting, but also the day of fate which is to come exactly 1 year after this meeting. They will meet here today, but the real day of fate will occur exactly 1 year after this meeting. It is on this day of fate Satyavan will die. On this day and where he will die? At the destined place. The place has been destined, the day is fixed. That is, this place he is going to die 1 year after that meeting. Day of fate. All she remembered on this day of fate, the road that hazarded to the solemn depths, but turned away to flee to human home. This is what we have seen last time, how Savitri goes through a narrow road. Through a narrow road, they come and meet together, you see. That's a narrow road, you see. And then what happens? Savitri sees this place as a wicket gate. As if a wicket gate to joy were there. As if a wicket gate to joy were there. So this meeting, this whole place, Savitri has entered into this forest and it is a wicket gate. Wicket gate of joy Wicket gate of joy. Wicket gate is a personal gate, a private gate in a big house by which the owner moves freely into the garden or steps into the house. You see, wicket small gate in a big door. You see, it is. There is a description in the Bible about this wicket gate. At the wicket gate begins the straight and narrow King's highway. King, the Supreme, the Lord. At the wicket gate begins the straight and narrow King's highway. It is from here you step into the world of the Supreme, into the world of the Lord, through the wicket gate. So Savitri is going to pass through this wicket gate and enter into the house of the Lord, into the house of the King. It is through that she is going to enter. In fact, this is exactly what is going to happen 1 year after the event here, that Savitri will cut a door to the void and enter into the transcendent. There she will meet the Supreme Himself. There she will meet the Supreme Himself. And then she will receive the boons from the Supreme. That is what we have in the 11th book, the book of everlasting day. Savitri has vanquished death. She has cut a door through the void and entered into the transcendental realms. It is that wicket gate Savitri is seeing now here in the forest at this point. And then, of course, we have here the forest, hidden in the forest bosom of lowliness, 102.3. Hidden in the forest bosom of loneliness, amid the leaves, the intimate voices called, sweet like desires, enamored and unseen, cry, answering to low, insistent cry. That is the answer she gets from there. See. And then there is a description of the whole place, nature, and then there is a description of Satyavan has not yet come on the scene, but what is going to happen, that is what the poet is describing about Satyavan. Satyavan, a weapon of the living light, 102.9, a weapon of the living light, noble and clear. And then his look was a wide daybreak of the God. I am reading from 102.8 onward, you see, just a quick phrases. His look was a wide daybreak of the gods. His head was a youthful rishis touched with light. His body was a lover's and a king. And then in her divine communion he had grown. In her divine communion, Satyavan had grown in the divine communion of nature. Her stands here for nature. A foster child of beauty and solitude. That is how he had grown up here. He came to the forest there when his father was driven out from the kingdom at a very tender age, maybe 6, 7 years old. And he is in the company of nature that he grew up. And he is, of course, the brother of the sunshine and the sky. And then the mastery free nature's hand was his because he has grown up there. So he had the full command over all these things. And then after that little description of Satyavan, as seen by the poet, as if it is, he sees Satyavan elsewhere, and he describes, yes, it is this man which is up there, he is going to meet now Savitri. Savitri has not seen anything, nobody is there on the scene at all, but the poet is imagining, is showing that, look, it is this person who is going to come now to this particular spot here, and they are going to meet here. The mass, that day he had turned from his accustomed path, 102.8. Normally he would go early morning to the forest for his work, but instead of taking the usual path, this particular day he had taken some other path. Turned from his accustomed path for one who, knowing every moment's load, had cast a spell on his steps. See, it is somebody else who is making him to take another path. He would have normally gone like this, but today he is going like this. Some spell has been cast on his foot and he is going like that today. Now he says, the one who knowing every moment, because somebody else is watching. As I said, there are three in the transcendent. Every moment is being watched here and is being worked out here. Somebody is watching from there and it's going to happen here. Now this one who knowing every moment's load. This is exactly that one we had been seeing, uh, in the last section of this book, 105.7. Because somebody, one is watching what these people are going to do here. And here, 105.7, Savitri has met Satyavan. They have joined together. And Savitri says that now I must go back and inform my father that I have chosen my life's partner. She has to go back to the father's place. And then she says, for soon I shall return, nor ever again. Oneness must Savior is recovered with oneness of being. That one is watching that thing. If that one is going to keep us away for whatever reasons it be, it is he who will decide that. Here, oneness has brought them together here. One who knowing every moment has brought them together. Possibly that one could also say that, no, this is not the moment, this is not the time for you to be together. You have to wait for some time, you have to separate for a while. It is possible that way. So Savitri is keeping that kind of an option open to the divine. Yes, you can decide whether it should be now or it should be later on. And she says, oneness must sever is recovered. Yes, we have recovered the place, but it is possible that oneness might decide something else and we may have to be separate from each other for a while. You see, it's possible. So that oneness is working everywhere in that sense, you see. And then we have here Savitri is driving a chariot and seeing all the sceneries and beautiful places and all around, but she is indifferent. She has been traveling, she has been seeing this kind of a thing for months and months, nothing was happening. Possibly the same thing might happen today also. Possibly. So she's going like that, you see, from place. At first her glance that took life's million shape. Well, indifferently she's watching the trees, flowers, plants, everything all that. It might happen today also, possibly, you see. And then later on, when she looks at this man, this boy walking there in front of her, something happens in her. And then we have got 102.25. Her vision settled. She was looking everywhere around indifferently. Among many boys, this is another one. But no, her vision settled, caught, and all was changed. That is the decisive moment which has taken place. She has seen this person there in front of her now. Her vision settled, caught, and all was changed. Her mind at first dwelled in idea. But how did it happen? How it happened? Because in the previous line, she might have passed by on chance ignorant roads, missing the call of heaven, losing life's aim. But the God touched in time, the God touched in time, and her vision settled. It is Savitri who is seized by the presence of this person. It is not Satyavan, but Savitri who has decided, yes, this is the one. Satyavan, he is going for his daily work. Perhaps he would have just walked away also, had Savitri not taken the initiative and stopped there. But it is Savitri's vision which settled. It is Savitri's decision which has come into picture. Yes, this has to be here only, this person only, this person only. all in a moment of surprise and seized. Suddenly, that moment is arrived. 102.28, all in a moment of surprise and seized, all in inconscient ecstasy, lay wrapped. And then what happens? Savitri is driving a chariot, and suddenly then 102.33, who's trampling fast, the horses, the chariot wheels rolling, largely she stumbling, she says, halt, stopped. The chariot stopped, she suddenly seen. Who's trampling fast, wheels large stumbling, see, the chariot stood like an arrested wind. And Satyavan looked out from his soul's doors. Suddenly again something has happened in him, and it was the doors which door. And he felt the enchantment of a liquid voice. Savitri has not spoken a word, nobody has spoken a word, but he feels as if somebody is speaking to him. The enchantment of the liquid voice is what he sees here. See. And then it goes on like that. 102.41. He met in her regard, in her vision. He met in her regard his future's gaze. What the future lies for him tomorrow, that he sees in her gaze. He met in her regard a promise and a presence and a fire, saw an embodiment of Ionic dream. Yes, this is what how my dream materialized here, will get realized here. A mystery of the rapture for which all years in this world of brief mortality, made in material shape, his very own. So he has seen something has happened in him also, that in her the whole future lies. He sees in the entire future. But now to what extent, that he has not revealed yet. Neither Satyavan is aware of it, nor the poet is going to tell us what is going to be the future. The poet is holding back what kind of future Satyavan is visualizing for him in the company of Savitri. That information, that detail, the poet is holding back from us. The yogi is keeping back from us. He met in regard his future's gaze. Future's gaze for what? What is expected of that? That is not given to us immediately. But then we have some little idea of it. He says, how this happened? Because there is a power within that knows beyond our knowings. It is that power which works. I am reading 102.47. There is a power within that knows beyond our knowings. It is that power which keeps on working all the while. And then the most epigrammatic line, to live, to love, are signs of infinite things. To live, to love, are signs of infinite things. That is the mantric line. That is the mantra of life. To live, to love, are signs of infinite things. And then we have here 102.57, Satyavan and Savitri. Okay, let's read the last three sentences on speed. Too far from the divine, love seeks his truth, and life is blind, and the instruments are deceived, and powers are there that labor to debase. There are powers which will disfigure you. Still can the vision come, the joy arrive. Then rare is the cup fit for love's nectar wine. This is the most powerful line. Rare is the cup fit for love's nectar wine. Here is Satyavan. He is holding love's nectar wine. And to hold love's nectar wine, one has to be really exceptional. It has to be somebody very rare. And Satyavan is that rare being who is capable of holding the wine of nectar, of love in his soul. You see. And then he says, in fact, as rare the vessel that can hold God's birth, a soul made ready through 1,000 years for being ready to hold the wine of love, the nectar of love. The soul has to go through 1,000 years period and get ready to hold that wine. A soul made ready through 1,000 years is the living mode of a supreme descent. When the soul becomes ready, then the supreme descent takes place. In other words, this is the destined meeting place. This is the destined hour. This is the destined event which is now planned over a period of 1,000 years. That this has to happen now. Over a period of 1,000 years, this has happened now. Yes, everything has now kind of conspired together for it to happen, to materialize, to get effected, you see. In the living mold, a soul made ready through 1,000 years. That is Satyavan's preparation over ages and ages for this to happen. And he is now in a position to hold that wine which Savitri can drink. And then when they meet, we have the last sentence here. A moment passed, they have seen each other, they have not talked with each other yet. They have just kind of seen each other eye to eye. A moment passed, that was eternity's ray. So that is the miraculous thing. That moment of their coming and gazing into each other's eyes is the ray of eternity. The light of eternity has entered into their sight. It is that sight, that ray which is communicating between eye and eye. A moment passed, that was eternity's ray, and then an hour began, the matrix of new time. From this moment onward, they have met, they have gazed into each other. And now, from this moment onward, new time begins, new creation begins. This is the moment, this is the decisive thing which has happened here. The third canto, he says, out of the voiceless mystery of the past, in a present ignorant of forgotten bonds, these spirits met upon the roads of time. This is the meeting of Satyavan and Savitri. And the beautiful thing is, voiceless mysteries of the past. Voiceless mystery of the past. The past is there, it has not spoken yet. In other words, there is so much of intention already embedded in the past that it must come out. It must now speak out. That intention which is there of the coming together, it must come out, it must speak out at this point. Voicely, it was lying kind of dormant until now. But now things are mature. The cup is ready. 1,000 years have gone in the preparation of this moment, and therefore the mystery can now be spoken out. In a present ignorant of forgotten bonds, Savitri and Satyavan did not know when they saw each other that they have been meeting in their earlier lives also. Human veil is there, and the past is concealed from their memory, from their sight. Human veil is there. It has to be there. That is necessary for things to be worked out. These spirits met upon the roads of time. These spirits, of course, stands for Satyavan and Savitri. And where are they meeting? On the roads of time. In the process of time, in the process of working out the cycles of evolution, that they have come here and they had to work together. These spirits met upon the roads of time. These spirits, now, see, he says significantly, these spirits. He doesn't say human beings, man and woman. They are the incarnate who have taken the human bodies. Therefore, they are these spirits. They are the incarnate who had taken this human form, and therefore they are now meeting here. So now they met in that momentous hour. They are going to meet now physically. They are going to talk to each other. When? In that momentous hour. Now, this is the important phrase. Now, this is the important thing. Momentous hour. And it is that which is going to decide the entire fate of evolution of the future. This momentous hour. It is that which will decide the course of things to happen from now onward. You see, it may be this or that, but that hour has arrived. So now they met in that momentous hour, momentous of great consequence with great implications. It is going to happen, has to happen. Now, it also means that, see, they have come together, they are talking to each other and all that kind of a thing. So their meeting, their conversation is going to be for 1 hour. It would mean that also to some extent. As I said earlier, possibly they must have met, they must have come together at that point, at that place, maybe around 8 o'clock in the morning, and all was over by 12. She has to go back. It means it is an event which is occurring for about 3 or 4 hours. But this particular coming together and commitment of joining to be together. Yes, we pledge that yes, we shall be together. That happens in that 1 hour, in that word. And that is the momentous. So we can say that the pledging takes place maybe say between 9 to 10 in the morning, you see, that 1 hour, roughly. And then he says, Satyavan introduces, he makes advances, of course, obviously, and he speaks out first to Savitri and he tells her, look, we had absolutely no idea that we will be meeting each other here at this point. An hour ago, we had absolutely no indication, no inclination that this might happen, that we'll come together and meet. And then he says, I know that mighty gods are friends of earth. How this has taken place, that we have come together, that we are meeting together. How this happened? I know that mighty gods are friends of earth. It is by the design, by the working, by the manipulation, or what you want to call it, of these gods that we have come here together and we are meeting here. He says, I know. How does he know? He has described his realization as he keeps on speaking to Savitri. He says that he had great spiritual experiences already. He has moved in the company of various beings already. He has already great spiritual experiences, and therefore he said, I know that mighty gods are friends of earth. And then he describes what happens in the entire course of the day, from morning till night till next day. I witnessed the virgin battles at dawn, 103.9. I pace along the slumberous coast of morn, of the gold desert the sunlight crossed. So he talks of morn, he talks of the day, or mid the moon in the night, gliding amazed through heaven in the uncertain wideness of the earth. Or the stars march on the long sentinel rule, pointing the spears to the infinite hue. The day and dusk reveal to me hidden shape. That is the knowledge. All the moments of the day, whether it is morning, afternoon, evening, night, day, etc. Everything is giving him some knowledge. Day and dusk reveal to me hidden shape. Throughout, I see behind all the shapes something else. Figures have come to me from secret shores, and happy faces looked from ray and flame. So this is the important thing. Happy faces looked from ray and flame. He says that. In other words, throughout in the entire course of the day, I see invisible beings. I see all kinds of faces, all kinds of wonderful things happening here. I see only faces of ray, of light, and burning with aspiration, flame. They're constantly there. In other words, he feels that new things are about to take birth, are ready to take birth here already. And then he describes many of his things. Okay, well, let us take one more. Although to heaven the beauty seems allied, he sees Savitri. She is extremely beautiful. She is a heavenly damsel. She is Devakanya, the goddess of light. And he says, yes, you really look so beautiful, like a heavenly girl. Although to heaven thy beauty seems allied. Now, he is a little cautious, but it is a certainty. He says, beauty seems allied, but it is so. It is so, actually. You see. Much rather, yes, by seeing that seems allied, you are a heavenly person, heavenly damsel. Look, but I am not interested in the heavenly beauty. I want somebody who is mortal, who is mortally sweet, mortally beautiful, mortally amiable, acceptable. Much rather would my thoughts rejoice to know that mortal sweetness smiles between thy lips. I want a person who is a human person. I don't want a goddess. I want a human person to be associated with this, you see. That is the important thing. Although you may be heavenly, but I want. And thy heart can beat beneath a human gaze. That is important. I want somebody mortal who is beautiful, who can open out things here, you see. And his tumult answer to earthborn voice. Savitri asked Satyavan after a few words, exchanges of words. Yes, etc., all that thing. But then she asked, but then why you are living in the forest? You look to be very princely, very beautiful, very tall, very handsome, very knowledgeable person. Why you are living in this wilderness, in this forest? Why is thy dwelling in the pathless wood, far from the deeds of thy glorious youth demands? Haunt to the anchorites, you are living in the company of the anchorites, and us builder broods under the animals and all that. Why you are living here? You are a princely person. Where only with thy witness self thou roam in nature's green unhuman loneliness, surrounded by enormous silences and a blind murmur of primal. So she is asking, she is demanding an answer from him. Why you are living in this wilderness? You don't seem to be a denizen of this place. You must be living in some kingly palace. Why you are here? And then Satyavan says, he narrates what had happened, how his father lost his kingdom and driven out of the kingdom, and they came to stay here when he was a very young boy, you see. And then he says, fate had given to his father a kingdom. He was a king. He was a rich man, affluent person. All the riches were in his command. Majesty was there. That was an aspect of fate, gift of fate. But that fate equally took away the gifts fate had given to him. What fate had given to him, with the same equalness that fate had withdrawn those gifts from him. He became blind. His blindness was exploited by his enemy, and he was driven out of the kingdom, and now he is staying in the forest as an exile. So equal fate removed her covering hand. All that fortune which was there, all that kingdom is gone here, and therefore I am here. And therefore, outcast from the empire, the outer light, his father had become blind, so he is an outcast from the empire of the light. He can't see anything at all. Lost to the comradeship of seeing men, he sojourned into solitudes, his father. Within, and the solemn rustle of the wood. We use the background why he is staying here in the forest. Because his father has lost his kingdom. Son of that king, I Satyavan had lived contented. Until now, I was extremely happy. I have grown up here, maybe for the last 20 years. He must have come here at the age of 5. Now he's around 25. So for 20 years, he has been very happy in the company of nature, growing up and all that thing. I was very happy, contented. But the moment I am seeing you, my contentness has gone away. It is not easy. Content not yet of thee aware. See, in my high people loneliness of spirit and its huge vital murmur, kin to me, nursed with the vastness, people of solitude. Great nature came to her recovered child. It is nature who nursed me here and gave me all this knowledge, you see. And then let's move on further. Satyavan narrates all his spiritual experiences. He says, for instance, here, high beauty's visitants, my inmates were. Who are my companions? People were coming from the world of beauty, in this land of loveliness. It is here that I have been moving with them. See. And he says, he used now the entire description of the tree, the forest, the birds, who are his companions here. Mountains and trees stood there like thoughts of God. So he doesn't see them as physical, material mountains. They are the thoughts of God. He sees them as living beings there. I carved my vision out of wood and stone. I carved my vision out of wood and stone. Now, this is also a description of Satyavan, who is a sculptor. It is not just a metaphorical thing. I carved my vision out of wood and stone. It is not just metaphorical. He is a sculptor also. The place where they are staying, that hermitage, on the rock, he has carved the statue of Durga. Who big statue of Durga is carved there, stone statue. And it is that Durga statue Savitri worships on the fated day, on the day of his death, Satyavan's death. He worships that. And then she accompanies Satyavan to the forest when the death occurs. So he is really a sculptor also. And then the most beautiful thing, and meter the rhythm base of infinity. That is my power. The rhythm in which the infinity moves, how the meters move, chandas, the rhythm, how they move. There are 7 chandas in the Rig Veda. How the movement of sound takes place. It is that I have seen that infinity. And then he says, I converse with nature, muse with changeless stars. Changeless stars, what are changeless stars? God's first fires burning in the ignorant night. They are guarding the night, the stars. And then I saw upon her mighty visage fall a ray prophetic of the eternal sun. When the sunlight comes, I see the future here. And then he, of course, he says, yeah, this is the spiritual experience which describes very vividly. I sat with the forest sages in the trance. There poured awaking streams of diamond light. I am sitting with the great rishis, realized souls there in meditation. And I see the diamond light coming and flooding me. There poured awakening streams of diamond light. I glimpsed the presence of the One in all, the oneness of the creation. That is what I have seen, experienced that here. Yes, that oneness is there everywhere. I see the divine, divine, divine here. Everywhere I see that. It's true, but still something was missing. But still there lacked the last transcendent power, and matter still slept empty of its law. Yes, there is oneness. The divine is here. Still, why the divine is asleep here? Why the divine is not manifesting himself here in matter? Why matter is under the dominance of inconscience? Why the base is inconscient? That I have not been able to solve. I have got spiritual experiences. Oneness is there, but this is a mystery to me. Why matter is still asleep to its Lord, to the divine. It has not awakened to the divine. And then he says, he summarizes the whole of experience in one single line. The spirit was saved, the body lost and mute. Yes, I got the great spiritual experiences. My spirit is now free of nature, of the physical, of everything, of this existence. It is free. It can move up there. But what happens to my body? Body remains here abandoned, as if it has no future. It has no prospects here. Why? Because its base is inconscience, and its fate is the void. It will disappear into the void. Can that be changed? Is there a remedy for that? Can the body be saved? That is his demand. The spirit was saved. In fact, the whole crux of the problem which Satyavan faces up to this point is in these three lines. The spirit was saved, the body lost and mute, lived still with death and ancient ignorance. The inconscience was his base, the void is fate. It will disappear into the void tomorrow again. Is that the future of body? This is what he's wondering at. I am not happy with that. I have got only a question there, but I have not found the answer to that. But now I see the answer to that question. You have come here. Your coming here is the answer for this. You are one, but thou hast come, and all will surely change. All will surely change. You have come here. Body's fate will be removed. Body will not be compelled to die, to disappear into the void. It has a future because you have come here. Now, this is of course a very glorious picture of what Savitri has to do. Satyavan has a kind of an intuition, kind of knowledge on the basis of his spiritual realizations that there has been a sharp dichotomy between spirit and matter. Spirit up there, beautiful, etc. Matter, dull, ignorant, lying here. And they are not able to match each other at all. That cannot be the purpose of this creation, that they remain separate. There has to be some way by which things can be changed. Has to be. Otherwise, what's the purpose of this creation at all, you see? And that purpose will be fulfilled by Savitri. That much hint, that much of intuition Satyavan has definitely with him now. Savitri has come and this will be achieved by her, definitely. But beyond that, he has no idea how she will achieve it. Yes, she will achieve it, but how she will achieve it? How will the body change? What kind of future the body has? Of that, he has no knowledge yet. Savitri has come, she will change. I agree. But by what mechanism, in what manner things will change, of that he has no knowledge. He cannot have that knowledge, obviously, because he has been the product of the past. He has to die to the past if he has to have the future. That knowledge will come to him when he has to die to the past. He must die. Then the future will come. Then the knowledge will come. Until then, he cannot have that knowledge at all. Satyavan must die. That is the toll which is there constantly heard in the whole of Savitri. Satyavan must die, Satyavan must die, Satyavan must die. For what? He has to die to the past so that the future opens out. The future opens out. And unless he dies, he cannot have the knowledge of how things will work out as far as the material existence is concerned, as far as the physical is concerned, as far as the body transformation is concerned. He cannot have that knowledge until then. Therefore, he is quite justified in saying that, yes, you have come. This is my conviction. And things will happen. Definitely things will happen. Beyond that, I can't do anything at all. The child, the void, shall be reborn in God. That much intuition I have. How he is going to take the new birth, I'm sorry, I can't tell you that. It has to happen. That conviction is there with me. You have come and it will happen. But the mechanism, the details, the process, he has no knowledge of that. He cannot have that. He cannot have that knowledge. Because he has to die to the past to have that knowledge. But he says, here again that prophetic knowledge, my body, like my spirit, shall be free. It shall escape from death and ignorance. It shall escape. The conviction which has dawned on him is because Savitri has come. Something has awakened in him, that knowledge has come to him. Beyond that, he can't say it. And then Satyavan says, now I know that all I lived was moved toward this moment of my heart's rebirth. All my life, not these last 25 years, but through yugas and yugas, through eons and eons, life after life, I have lived through past lives. Since the beginning of this creation, why I have lived? For this moment of my heart's birth. This awakening of the necessity of me, of the body's transformation. It is for this purpose I lived here. I look back yesterday, move toward this moment of my heart's rebirth. And then he says, his problem was this. Yes, truth is there, truth is, but I was not able to establish the truth in my life, in my body, in my physical. I could not live the truth. It spoke and taught the body. That much he has got that knowledge. But beyond that, how the physical transformation is going to take place, that is completely out of his reach at this stage. You see. And then he says, the mystery was not solved but deepened more. I have been contemplating, I have been musing, I have been thinking all along. But how this is going to be solved, how the body transformation is going to take place, it deepened more and more. I could not really sort that thing out at all, you see. And then he says, of course, finally, this is the most romantic line. But now the gold links comes to me with thy feet, and his gold sun has shone on me from thy face. This is the most romantic line also, see. His gold sun has shone on me from thy face, you see. I have now full confidence that he will change. Please don't ask me how they are going to change. But I am sure that they are going to change because of you here, you see. And then he says, he is again now very ecstatic about the meeting. Now another realm draws near with thee, and now diviner voices fill my ear. I have come very close to the divine, that you see. And finally he says another very powerful line, my mind transfigures to a rapturous seer. He has become suddenly a rapturous seer. He has become a rishi, my mind. Because you are there now here, etc. etc. And then of course he invites Savitri to his place. Descend, O happiness, with thy moon gold feet, enrich earth's floor, upon whose sleep we lie. Enrich. It is your presence, your incarnation here upon earth. It is that which is going to change here. Descend, O happiness. Then, of course, there is the description of their union together. Allured to her lashes by his passionate words. Savitri has become so beautiful, so charming, so attractive because of this love in her now getting kindled, that her eyes have become so attractive. The soul from within gets attracted by the beauty of those eyes and drawn out. And then it is that soul which is attracted by the eye, you see that whole thing around. Allured to her lashes by his passionate words. Her fathomless soul looked at him from her eyes, passing her lips in liquid sound. It spoke. Her soul spoke now, see. O Satyavan, I heard thee, and I know that thou and only thou art he. It is the power of love which has given her this knowledge. How does she know that who he is? The power of love which is awakened in her, it is that love which has given her this knowledge. I know thou, and thou only is one I have been looking for here. And then, of course, there is the sacrament of joy, they coming together and uniting. A sacrament of joy in treasuring palm. She brought flowers, etc. And we have got, thus were they in each other lost awhile. Then, drawing back from the long ecstasy's trance, came into a new self and a new world. That is the entire thrust of the meeting. A new self and a new world. Until now, yes, they were divine, they were incarnate, but their coming together has brought out some other dimension of their incarnate birth. It would not have come out at all until then, you see. They are incarnate, they are great spirits, but that thing has come out now explicitly after their coming together. Came new self and a new world. Each now was a part of the other's unity. And then this is the description of what we have seen of the marriage scene, of how the two joined together on the high glowing cupola of the day. Fate tied and knot with morning's halo thread, while by the ministry of an auspicious hour, hard bound before the sun, their marriage fire, the wedding with eternal Lord and spouse, took place again on earth in human forms. In human forms. And for what? In a new act of the drama of the world, the united two began a greater age. The purpose of that meeting together, of coming together, is the beginning of a greater age. It is the purpose of the book of love. If the new age has to start, it is here for the purposes of the meetings. In the silence and murmur of that emerald world, and the mutter of the priestman's sacred word. Now, this is the kind of the sacramental ceremony, ceremonial marriage. The priests are chanting, the birds are there, and all that. And in the silence and murmur of the emerald worm, and the mutter of the priestman's sacred worm, amid the choral whispering of the leaves, love's twain had joined together and grew one. Grew one for what? The natural miracle was wrought once more, where? In the immutable ideal world. In a beautiful ideal world, that miracle of their coming together was joined. And in that ideal world, one human moment has suddenly become eternal. That is the momentous hour. That is the momentous hour. One human moment becoming eternal, that is the momentous hour. And then the time of the departure, of Savitri's departure has come. She has to go back to her father's place and tell him, yes, I have completed the mission you had given to me, the task you had assigned to me, that I should go around and find my own life's partner. I have found. Here is one. And therefore she says, of course, these lines we have already seen. For soon I shall return, nor ever again oneness must have recovered the place, or fades under our lives, while life is ours. Savitri is giving three alternatives. They have met together. Savitri has to go back and report to her father that she has found her life's partner. And therefore she says, I will go back, report to my father, and come back and join you. I shall return. We'll be together. But there are other possibilities also. There could be a higher will for something else to happen. Oneness might sever the bliss which you have recovered. For its own great logic, its great strategy, or whatever you want to call it, it might happen that, or fate might intervene and cut our knot. It is possible. Savitri is playing, in a certain sense, a kind of a cautious game. All these possibilities are there, but as far as I am concerned, as an individual, I will come and stay here. As I said, again, three things. Oneness up there, individual Savitri, and the cosmic working of the fate. All the three things operate, and how they will interact, how they will intervene, well, on my side, I have decided, fixed, firm. Now, here also, Savitri has no idea of what is going to happen after the joining together at this point. At this point, she has no idea at all what is going to happen after they have come together and live together, you see. But she is already speaking of fate. She is already speaking of fate, Savitri. Because Savitri is a pragmatic person. She knows the working of the cosmic forces. She knows what kind of things happen in the transcendental, and all of them can come and interact in different ways. And things might happen here. So she has no definite knowledge of what is going to happen tomorrow. She goes back, and then of course suddenly we had the book of fate opening after this one. Immediately comes Narad and makes known to her that 1 year after the marriage, Satyavan must die. He will die. He has to die. It is decreed that he must die. He says decreed. Savitri has no knowledge of that at this point. She has no knowledge at all. Narad comes and will tell to Savitri, it is decreed that he must die after the marriage, 1 year. 12 swift-winged months are given to him and her. 12 swift-winged months. He has to die after that, you see. That definiteness of knowledge that comes from Narad later on, you see. Therefore, Savitri here is keeping it hanging in a general sense. Although she has kind of intuition of things happening there, but that definiteness comes with Narad. In fact, this thing opens out the book of fate with a purpose. With a purpose. Purpose is what? It is not simply to let her know that, look, this man is going to die 1 year after that thing. It is to put the divine force in the soul of Savitri that Narad makes that purposeful announcement. Savitri has to prepare herself yogically to meet that hour. Savitri must do yoga. She must achieve that thing, power in her soul to meet the consequences of death. In the absence of that knowledge, Savitri might not have done the yoga. She would not have really done the yoga also, see. But it makes definite that she does yoga. In other words, Narad is doing a great act. He is doing the great act of initiating Savitri on the path of yoga. The initiation of Savitri on the path of yoga is done by Narad. It is that initiation which then kind of unfolds in the book of fate. The other story is there, but in the occult sense, what has really happened is Savitri has been initiated on the path of yoga. He has given what we would call Diksha. Initiation in Sanskrit, it means Diksha. She has been given Diksha. Savitri, he has put the word. When he puts the word in the soul of a person, he puts also his force in it. Narad is putting his force in that word, which goes and lives in the soul of Savitri. And then her yoga begins and the whole thing starts.